Hello, boys, hello, girls. We're going to be seeing today our next society, which is Quiquilco. But before we start seeing Quiquilco, I want to clarify something to you. Quiquilco is in the central region of Middle America, where we can find right now Mexico City. But before the Quiquilcans actually came to exist, there were other societies closer to the Olmecs, like the Tlatilcans. And Tlatilco is a society that lived really close to where we live now, in Tlalnepantla and in Naucalpan. And actually, we have a museum of the Tlatilcan society right in Periférico. There is a museum just there, and I am not going to be focusing in Tlatilco. First of all, because well, it is previous to these developments of the state, and I am going to be focusing mainly in the state. Why? Because we have to see societies from all around the world. Right now, we're just seeing Middle America, but we're going to see Oasis America. We're going to be seeing Peru and all the societies that lived before the Inca Empire and during the Inca Empire, and also we're going to be seeing Africa and Asia. So we're going to be seeing everything that we do not see in history, because in history we usually focus in Europe. So now it is the chance to see all those societies, and I cannot take a lot of time in seeing every single society that lived in Mexico, because a lot of societies lived in Mexico. However, do not be confused, do not get confused by this fact, because I am going to ensure that you really achieve deep knowledge on these societies. You are going to be really knowledgeable on Middle America. And actually, when I was in college, I studied Middle America for perhaps 2 years or more. I had subjects about Middle America and many ways of studying Middle America. So trust me, Middle America is a really, really big topic that you are never going to be able to finish. So we're going to try to focus in the main parts of Middle America, like all the big elements that are really going to be able to tell us about what Middle America is about. And in this case, some of these societies that didn't achieve the state as a way of organization, perhaps they aren't so clearly the elements that we want to see from Middle America. So that is why I am going to be focusing in Quiquilco, in the central region. I am going to start with Quiquilco and not with previous societies such as Tlatilco. So let's start with Quiquilco. Quiquilco is a really, really special society for me, and you're about to see why. So, as we were saying, Quiquilco is in the central region, in this yellow region over here, and we were just studying yesterday the Olmec Society, and the Olmec Society, remember, that is in the Gulf region. So remember that Middle America is subdivided into 5 more regions: the Maya region, the Oaxaca region, the Gulf region, and in here in the Gulf region is where we studied the Olmecs. Then the Central region, and finally the Western region. And they are going to be they are going to be having their very own special characteristics. And they usually, or nowadays, some people subdivide another region in Middle America that would be made up both these parts, both in orange and in purple, and they call it the Guerrero region. But as you will see later, the western region actually has enough variety of elements and of societies, not that allow us not to require another region. We can just fit it in the west. And also, I do believe that this thing about Guerrero as a new region in Middle America is just something about tourism. I don't actually believe that we have enough elements to call that a whole region. But well, we will be seeing that by the end of Middle America. The West is the last region that we're going to be seeing in Middle America, because it comprises a lot of things, and it is actually a big mixture of societies. So we will see that by the end of Middle America. So this is Quiquilco, and you are about to know why this society is so special for me, and there are 2 main reasons. The first one is that if you see over here, do you see this red structure over here that I am zooming? Well, that is my school. This is the school in which I studied. This is the school in which I went to college. This is the National School of Anthropology and History, and this is where I studied. So it was really great because all you had to do is look out the window, and you would have this huge pyramid in your yard, and that was really beautiful to study with that background. So the teacher was talking, and you were seeing the teacher, and in the back of the teacher you would see this great pyramid. And the school is really small. All you have is this building in blue over here and this other building, and over here you have a library that we cannot see because it is covered by the pyramid. And the second reason because of which this place is really special for me is that when I was your age, my own history teacher sent me to this place, and that teacher, that history teacher, is perhaps, I am not going to say for sure that he is, but perhaps he is the reason because of which I studied what I studied, because he was a great teacher. So I want you to pay attention just in this part over here where we have this green roof, because very soon we're going to be seeing this structure that lies below this roof. So I only want you to be able to identify in which part of the pyramid we can find this structure. It is called the kiva. So just take into consideration that over here we have the kiva. And if you can see the pyramid, this pyramid is huge. This is going to be the first monumental buildings in the central region of Middle America. And after this one, we are going to see the birth of several societies that are going to be starting to build great monuments and great structures such as this one. But this one is the first one, and this is the thing. In order to be able to build this kind of structures, well, we may be really sure that their way of organization was a state, because there is no way in which you could organize production and in which you could organize labor in order to build something as huge as this pyramid if you don't have a state to be able to organize everyone, and to be able to organize the workers and the labor, and to have specialized labor. Because of course, if you and me try to build something like this, well, it is not going to work. We require someone that actually knows what they are doing. So that is why we may very well say, with no doubt, that Cuilco was ruled by a state. So what are the characteristics? Well, first of all, Cuicuilco is found really near, and I am talking about no more than 3, perhaps 4 kilometers. I don't know the exact distance, but it is really close. Every time I walked towards school, I could see this volcano just lying really near the school, and this volcano is called the Xitle volcano. And if you can see, this volcano seems to be really small. It seems to be a dwarf volcano, but that is because of all the eruptions that the volcano had. It erupted so many times that the magma covered the volcano. So nowadays it seems to be just a small mountain, but that is just the mouth of the volcano. The whole volcano is actually lying below its own magma. It got covered by its own eruptions, but it is really close. And I just want I just want you to notice, and this is just a hypothesis, that usually pyramids in Middle America are going to be squared, right? They are going to be having this this square shape, and this pyramid is not following that same pattern. This pyramid actually is a rounded pyramid, a circular pyramid. And if you ask me, that is because it is representing a mountain, and no other mountain but the volcano, the Xitle volcano. So remember that in Middle America, mountains are really important. Do you remember that we studied the monster of the mountain throughout the Olmecs? And as I was telling you, and that was the reason because of which we opposed emergentism to diffusionism, well, perhaps that trait, perhaps that element in culture that is representing mountains is going to be meaning different things, but we may see it in several societies. However, we may be sure that it didn't mean the same thing for everyone. Just think about this. Going to school doesn't mean the same thing to you as it meant for your grandparents. Having a college degree doesn't mean the same thing to you, and it doesn't mean the same thing in our days as it meant in the days of our grandparents. In the days of our grandparents, in their times, having a college degree was great. I mean, you were going to be rich because you went to college. In our days, everyone goes to college, and that is a guarantee of nothing, perhaps. Of course, you're going to do great, but you have to understand that things change within time. So the fact that the Olmecs represented mountains, and that several societies in Middle America are going to be representing mountains, it doesn't mean that the mountain means the same thing to every single society. But we are going to be seeing throughout all societies this way in which the pyramid and the mountain are going to be looking really close alike. So in this case, I would tell you, and it is just a hypothesis that the pyramid of Cuicuilco is trying to look alike the volcano, alike the Chitle. So this society has really particular characteristics. First of all, that, well, of course, being so close to a volcano, all this volcanic soil is going to be really fertile. And also Cuicuilco lies along a river, so there was a lot of water availability, and this provides perfect conditions for agriculture. If you remember what we were studying in Egypt and in Mesopotamia, those were really important characteristics for the state to be born. Do you remember that we studied in Mesopotamia the rivers Tigris and Euphrates, and in Egypt the Nile River, and that those rivers are going to be providing two things. First of all, they are going to be providing water, of course. All rivers have water. But they're also going to be providing silt, that it is going to be this really fertile soil. Do you remember that? We studied it in Egypt and Mesopotamia. And in here, well, we're not going to be having this silty soil, but we're rather going to be having volcanic soil. And this soil is also really fertile and really good for agriculture. And we're also going to be having a lot of water availability. So we can be sure that agriculture had great conditions to occur and to give great production of crops. And this is another thing. Remember that we have been studying in history some hypotheses on how the states are born. For example, remember with Rome. Do you remember how was the Roman state born? And remember that this hypothesis, both of Henry Maine and of this other anthropologist Morgan, was that when you have more than one tribe joining together for good, then that is going to be the birth of a state. Well, in this case, I am not sure that we can be talking about more than one tribe joining together for good. So we may try to find two more other explanations as hypotheses on how Cuicuilco got to be a state. Well, the first of them may be really a diffusionist theory in which the influence of the Olmecs is going to be introducing the state way of organization to Cuicuilco. And well, that is probable, but I am not saying that that is truth. That is just a hypothesis, and that is not the hypothesis that I would back. Actually, as we were studying Egypt and as we were studying Mesopotamia, we may see how this huge amount of production that agriculture is going to provide is going to ensure surplus. And when you have surplus, you need someone to manage that surplus, and then you have to develop writings in order to take accountability on those surplus on the crops. And you're going to be developing people that are going to be specialized in managing those surpluses, and people that are going to be specialized on growing those crops, and thus the specialized labor is going to be born. So all those characteristics, writings, specialized labor, technology for production, all of those characteristics are going to be characteristics that we find in states and also cities. And as you can see over here, well, in these images we are seeing a previous state, more of a village state, but well, by the time that Cuicuilco got to actually be a state, it is really clear that it was a big city, and it had up to 20,000 people living in this city. So remember that the city and the state are always going to be together, because there is no way in which you could manage a city if you don't have a central authority and stable institutions, as Max Weber would tell us.